What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now Plus. I'm Alex. In this video, I want to go over some sales data for Dragon Quest III HD-2 Remake. Now, there was stories over the past couple of days where people were kind of looking into the Steam charts, and the game, even from just what we can see on Steam, doing incredibly well. And I believe the numbers technically have beaten like the Final Fantasies of the world, and I think pretty much anything else Square Enix has ever done single-player wise. So it was already kind of apparent that this game was crushing it. Well, we got some sales data from Japan. Now, this is only physical, and this is only Japan, right? But it still, I think, paints a pretty good picture for this game. So I just want to read it real quick from Genki over on Twitter. Dragon Quest III HD2 Remake sold 821,000 physical copies across the Switch and PS5 at launch in Japan. It instantly becomes the #1 best-selling game in Japan for the entirety of 2024. It's the biggest launch in Japan since Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, and it's the biggest launch for Square Enix in Japan since Dragon Quest XI in 2017. And then you see the breakdown: Switch 641,000, PS5 180,000 for a total. And that's just spectacular. You know, I remember like there was the data from like the Astrobots of the world and like Stellar Blades. I remember I've kept up here and there with certain Japan. And I think actually Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, I think I remember kind of seeing where it was tracking in Japan as well. And for it to do those numbers now, even some of the games I listed just now were only PS5 exclusive, right? Freaking crushed it. Like this is double, triple, quadruple some of the other games that have come out in Japan just this year that I have been like noticing, right? Not even just like every game in general, just games that I myself have noticed on the off chance that I see it. I mean, and those those bullet points kind of tell the whole story. The biggest game in the entirety of 2024. It's the biggest since Tears of the Kingdom. That wasn't even this year. And then specifically for Square Enix, you got to go back 7 years for a game to beat it, which means that this game beats Kingdom Hearts 3 specifically, right? Beats the last several Final Fantasy games, right? Including 7 Remake, 7 Rebirth, Final Fantasy 16, etc. And I think what's important that I think a lot of people are kind of focusing on is this is how you kind of win here and there when you're Square Enix, right? Like, in fact, and I think I even tweeted this myself, like, you think about Final Fantasy, you think about 16, think about Rebirth, and you think about what Square Enix has said about those games. Now, I don't know what this is going to end up doing. We also don't know, like, the budget of this game, say, compared to those games, but I don't think it's crazy at all. Well, okay, it almost did 1 million units, just physical, and just in Japan. Now, that's probably its main demographic, right? However, as I said in the beginning, in terms of Steam and the record numbers there, it seems like relatively high kind of everywhere. And, I mean, this could be a multi-million selling game. It could be 2, 3, 4 million copies, which honestly could at least beat Rebirth. We really don't know what Rebirth is. I know there were some people actually on my channel, I think yesterday or the day before, that said that Rebirth did like 2.5 maybe-ish million. So, I mean, I honestly think this could beat it. And you know that this did not have the budget of Rebirth. And again, like, well, why is this important? I mean, I think it signals the type of game. Like, I don't actually even have this game yet. I wrote it down. This is actually a game that I'm going to be looking for during Black Friday, see if it drops in price at all, or just a game that I'm going to get kind of like later on. It's a game I highly respect. It's just not games that I'm super into. Or I've actually never played. I don't think I've ever played a Dragon Quest game in my life, and I want to change that. Trust me, I do. But I think, again, it shows people's willingness to try games like this, right? Almost maybe a renaissance, but just to kind of keep it relevant and in the minds of Square Enix, where it's like this type of game works. And again, like, this is kind of how you do it: smaller team, smaller budget, and a game that you really, I don't know, like, did they expect this game to do that? I highly doubt it. I mean, they have high expectations kind of for everything, and most games kind of fail their expectations, but I don't know. I can't imagine, again, going back to those bullet points, how do you think this game is going to do the best out of any game you've ever done in the last 7 years in Japan, right? How do you see that coming? I highly doubt they see that coming, right? At least that's my opinion. So I don't know. I think that's great news, and hopefully it shows the genre is alive and well. Hope maybe it pushes them to do things like this for Final Fantasy. Obviously, there's been a lot of talk. I think Final Fantasy VI has maybe been the talk, where it's like, hey, could you do this type of remake for older Final Fantasy games? I think it's definitely possible, and maybe this is the kick in the butt that Square Enix needs, to do something like that, right? And again, like you need to do the big Kingdom Hearts games. You need to do the big Final Fantasies. Like you need those big games that you hope can be money makers. Now, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But these are like the small victories that actually aren't so small anymore, right? These are the things that Square Enix, I think, kind of needs to instill some confidence where it's like, okay, you can take chances, you can do things kind of random like this, keep it small budget, and then if it blows up, which honestly that's exactly what it's doing, it's blowing up, well, they're going to make a boatload of money from this, or they might make more money from this than they made for Final Fantasy, right? So it's like, that's unreal, and hopefully, as time goes on, that's why I like talking about these topics, is as time goes on, maybe it changes how they think of things, maybe they try different things that they otherwise wouldn't, right? I think that's kind of like the end goal, I think, with a lot of these things. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure, as always, you're subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on. I hope to see you all on the next one.